Take two. You are live.
All right. What's going on? My name is Jordan McLeod. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I wanted to share this specific video with you. It's probably one of the most vulnerable videos that I've made so far. I wanted to share it with you because I know it will impact many young men, especially, but also women as well. I wanted to share this specifically about my story of the past and present of my daddy issues, my father issues, my father not being in my life, experiencing father wounds. So I wanted to begin the beginning of my story. I remember me and my mom and my older brother, we grew up together in Seattle, Washington. And I just remember at a young age not having my dad in my life. My real dad was not there. He left when I was probably 3 or 4. Honestly, I can't even remember. He divorced my mom and left me and my older brother. And I just remember just those growing pains when I was growing up as a young one in elementary. I remember being expelled from 2 schools. I remember being so fueled up with anger and resentment and bitterness. And even at the time, not even realizing it, rejection. I remember picking on kids. I remember stealing things. I remember even my point of stealing got so bad. I began to go into stores and steal from the stores with me and my friends. I used to lie to my parents to sneak behind closed doors to do whatever I wanted to do. And so later on, fast forwarding, I didn't understand this anger, but it was still bottled in. I remember expressing that anger sometimes even on the basketball court as I got older, or anger in school or outside of school towards my mom or towards even my stepdad when he began to get into my life as well. But the thing that woke me up was Jesus Christ. The thing that made it make even more sense of what I was going through was when I began my relationship with God. But before that, I had different role models before Jesus. My role models were, 50 Cent or Lil Wayne, these different rappers, Ludacris, or different athletes as well. I remember Allen Iverson was my favorite basketball player. I remember my older brother, the person that was the closest to me, he was my role model. If he played basketball, football, or baseball, I wanted to do it. If he wanted to go to Duke, I wanted to go there too. If he wanted to go to USC, I wanted to go there too. And so I had all these different role models, but none of them were tangible. None of them I could put my hands on except my brother. And my brother's my brother, that older brother syndrome where I'm trying to go outside with his homies because I think that they're super cool. And he's like, nah, you can't come. Stay at home before I punch you. Stuff like that, where I experienced, wrestling of not having that acceptance growing up and not having that affirmation from my father, and him not being present or active from my real father. And so during that time, fast forwarding when I was in high school, I was 17 years old, still wrestling with this identity, acceptance, and even the rejection. I was 17 years old when I heard the gospel and I began to follow Jesus. And as I began to follow Jesus, I began to understand a little bit more of masculinity, a little bit of Jesus, but mainly the examples that were before my eyes. And those were father figures, those were mentors, those were disciplers that discipled me and poured their life into me. I'm talking about fathers and husbands and people being present and active in the midst of their family and kids. And I never seen that example before, so it blew me away. But it made more sense for me as I began to follow Jesus Christ on what that meant on continually to follow him. And so the biggest thing that woke me up was the gospel and the central thing of Jesus being a man and then Jesus being in a relationship with the Father and following him. I began to understand masculinity a little bit more, but I still had these father wounds. I still had rejection, or these different things that I wrestled with, that I tried to numb the pain. Even following Jesus, to admit that I wrestled with sexual addiction. I struggled with pornography behind closed doors. I tried to use different things to numb the pain and kind of close up the holes that were inside of me, so to speak. But as I begin to get that confidence through Jesus Christ of my relationship with him, that's when I begin to understand true victory and what it meant to be a son, that I'm not a victim but a victor. I'm not a slave to sin. I'm a son to God. I'm set free from sin. And so through prayer, through my own devotional life and discipline, and God's grace and God's sovereignty of placing men of God in my life brought me out of that mode of different things that I faced. Am I a perfect man? No, I'm not. Do I have it all together? Absolutely not. But something that I realize is that through this season and through these past seasons of my life, I'm realizing the problems and the issue of father wounds. I mean, I work with at-risk youth at a middle school, local middle school, and seeing these kids wrestle with so many different things because the central thing of not having a father to cover them and love them and give them words of affirmation and be present and give them guidance and counsel and practical things of, hey, don't go over there. Hey, don't go over there and kick it with them. This is going to be the outcome, having that guidance. So many people, maybe you that are watching, you experience so much stuff. You've seen so much stuff at a young age you probably should never have seen or done. But through it all, I believe that, according to the Bible, of course, that God is a father to the fatherless. And I'm so glad that God was there through the points of my rejection, through the points of my pain. And this is the reason why I wanted to share this video and become vulnerable, is because I wanted it to impact other people and help people through their process of not having their father, experiencing that fatherlessness or father wounds. And so if this video has impacted you in any way, I hope that you share with other people. Continue to look at the different videos on my channel, and I hope to see you on the next video.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good?
Yeah, I'm just waiting till these people will stop making noise. That dude drove by and said, "Rrrr." I hope that didn't mess it up though.
Well, get the audio.
How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing good.
I feel like that was...
I'm more concerned about you, because I know like you're sharing something vulnerable, and I feel pissed.
You said you would be pissed?